Hi everyone and welcome back. In this video we're going to see how to add a message display to our Node-RED dashboard. So let's get started. Let me get out of your way here and let's go ahead and go into our PLC program. And you can see the last thing that we had done in there was we added that dual timer as a heartbeat node, or a heartbeat bit rather, for Node-RED. And we had included that in our MQTT publish data. Let me go ahead and delete this extra ladder line that's here because I don't like it. And let's hit enter to make a new run. All right. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to make a simple rung that controls output Q0 on the PLC. It's a physical output. And I'm just going to use an internal relay here. So let's go to, actually, you know what? Let's use let's just use a regular one. If I go to basic instructions, normally open contact, left click to drop it in. Let me use, I'll just say M600 for this example. And what we'll do is we'll manually come in and control this after a while to see what's going on. So M600, and I'm going to say this controls Q0, physical output Q0, and let's say that's maybe in a real application, maybe that's our main fan, for example. Okay, all right. And then I simply need an output of Q0, so basic instructions output, and Q0, and we'll say that's our main fan. Okay, so just real simply an input controlling an output. Whenever this input's on, the output's on. When the input's off, the output's off. Okay. Now, if I want to push the status of this over MQTT, I can do it just based off of M600, right? Because when M600 is on, this is on. When this is off, that'll be off. Okay. So let's do that. So if I go back into my MQTT settings, so configuration, Ethernet port 1, scroll all the way down to the bottom and click on the configure for our MQTT settings. What I want to do is now I want to publish some additional information. Again, I can still do it on the same topic if I want. So if I click configure, I can come down here to new value and I'll call this maybe main fan status, for example. Okay. And again, the data type here is going to be a Boolean. It's going to either be true or false, right? And it's going to be based on a device. And again, that is internal relay M600. Okay. All right. So we click OK. And we know how this is going to work. This is going to be the same as that heartbeat bit, right? Again, when M600 is on, it will be true. The value will be true. And when M600 is off, the value will be false. That's it. Okay. Let's go ahead and click OK. And OK. And OK. And let's go ahead and download this to our PLC. And let me go into monitor mode here once it downloads. And, you know, this is monitor is live with the PLC, so we can see our heartbeat bit here toggling on and off every couple of seconds. I can force, since there's no other logic that's writing to this right now, I can double click to force on and force off M600. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and go back into a browser and go to Node-RED. This is the dashboard that we were looking at before, which is fine. Let's go into our Node-RED workspace. And I'm going to go ahead and put this in the monitor read-only section. So we'll have a little message kind of popping up in this monitor read-only section. We'll leave it in there for now. That's fine. All right. And what I want to do is let's get, bear with me just a second. I lost track of where my mouse is. There it is. Okay. All right. So what we want to do is let's get a text node. Yeah, that's what we want. Let's get a text node here. Okay. And let's drag it in. And let's double click on it to edit it. Whoa. There we go. Didn't necessarily need everything highlighted. So again, for our group, we're going to leave this in the, we're going to put this in the monitor read-only group, right? So we'll put it there. So just click on this and then select that. So it's our IDEC automation dashboard, monitor read-only. For our label, maybe we can just have this say main fan. And our value format is message payload. Okay. We can leave that alone. That's going to be fine. We're going to have to do something a little extra, but that's fine for this particular node. And then down here in the layout, again, we can select how we want it to look. All right. Maybe we just pick this because it's different. Click done. Okay. Now, before we add anything else, let's go to our debug section here in Node-RED. Again, click on the icon in the top right that looks like a squashed bug. And let me hit delete to clear this out for a second so we can see the clear data coming in. Now you can see, what do we have? Right, I've got my message.payload now includes the temperature, the heartbeat, and the main fan status. Okay. So just like we split out the heartbeat, we need to split out this main fan status. But we're not controlling an LED. We want this to display a message. So we've got to write just a little bit of JavaScript. It's not bad. And once it's done, then you can reuse it to do any other kind of message you want. So let's do it. All right, let me scroll up here to my function area. And at this point, I want to grab a function node. We're going to write a little bit of JavaScript. Okay. You drag it, drop it in, and double click to edit it. Okay, so in a function node, when you go to edit it, we want the onMessage tab selected, which is what's selected by default. Okay, I didn't do anything to get that. We want it in the onMessage section, again, which it is by default. And now what we need to do is we need to write a little bit of script. Okay, so let's do that. So what I'm going to do is say, I'm going to create a variable here. So var will declare a variable. And I'm going to say, I'm going to call it, let me not call it payload. I don't want to call it that. Let me call it fan message. Okay. And I'll say our fan message is equal to message.payload.main fan status. Okay. So this is going to split out the value of main fan status into fan message. Okay, so that's a variable. Now what I want to do is make a couple of if statements. If main fan status is true, or if main fan status is false. So I'll say if fan message is false, what do I want to do? Well, let me set the payload, what I want to send out, right? Because the text is looking for message.payload, right? So I can say payload is going to be the string. Maybe main fan is off. Okay. And I'll say var, make another variable here. Message off message equals, and then a squirrely bracket, and do payload. Okay. And then I'll return off message. Okay. And what the return does is it just sends the variable off message out of the function. It passes it out. Okay. So I created a variable called fan message. I assigned that to message.payload.mainFanStatus. So this should give us either true or false, right? And this is just like what we've done to split out heartbeat before. We got true or false out of that. This is doing the same thing, just for our main fan status. So if the message is false, then we're going to set our payload, which is what we want to display in our text. Main fan is off. We'll set that to be our payload. We'll set a variable up as off message equals, put that in JSON format, and we'll return it. Okay. We'll do the same thing if the fan message is true. So we can copy and paste that entire chunk of if section, or of the if statement rather. Okay. So in this case, if our fan message is true, then our payload will be main fan is on. The variable, we'll make this on message, is equal to our payload, and we'll return our on message. Okay. And I can delete this last return down there. I don't need it. Okay. So that little bit of JavaScript will do this for us. So we're reading in the fan message by stripping out the main fan status. So that's in this variable. So that'll be true or false. And then depending on whether it is true or false, we are going to send out of this function a different message. Okay. All right. Let's click done. And now what we need to do is go ahead and connect our MQTT input node to the function, connect our function node to this text. And let's click on deploy. And let's go into our Node-RED dashboard. And we can see there in our monitor section down at the bottom, main fan, there's our message. Main fan is off. Okay. Now let's go into WinLadder. Let me minimize this a little bit. Make this a little smaller. Bear with me just a second, and this is going to make this look hideous over here, but that's okay. Because what I want to show you, can I make that smaller? Yeah. Scroll down. As again, I'm online, I'm monitoring the PLC. As I change M600, again, that's going to change Q0, physical Q0 on the PLC, the output. So if I change that, every couple, you can see it updates here. And again, this is updating every couple of seconds. So it's not going to be based on how we have it set up. It won't be instantaneous, right? If I click it here, it may take it a second or two before it shows. But again, that's based on how often I'm sending out that MQTT message from the PLC. Okay. So we can see it change from on to off and back again based on the status. So this is how you can do a message field within Node-RED. You can simply read in what you want and split it out based on whatever parameters you have. Okay. So we could do the same thing if main fan status, in this case, obviously it's either true or false. But if main fan status was something else, if it was a number like temperature, right? Then we could do however many if statements that we wanted. You know, if we had that could change between 0 and 10, we could show 11 different messages based on the value of that just by doing what we did here. Okay. We could split the data out into a variable and then do if statements for the variable based on their value and then send out different payloads. Okay. All right. All right. Hope that makes sense for you guys. I know JavaScript it can be tough, no doubt, but hopefully what you've seen is just with a little bit of code here, now we've got a lot of power. right? Again, we can make this message say whatever we want based on any value. So it's a nice way to make a message display field within Node-RED. All right, that's it for this video. In the next video, what we're going to start working on is being able to control things from the PLC. So to date, all we've used is an MQTT input node. We're going to start working with MQTT output nodes to be able to send data from Node-RED out over our AWS EC2 instance and back to our PLC. So hope you enjoyed the video. Stay tuned, and we hope you see you on the next one. Thanks again.